find the mummy?
Don't worry, the mummy will find you.
Hello, everybody.
Howdy. I'm afraid you'll have to stay tuned until the end. So we'll reveal where we found this mummy.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, still a bad haircut, so...
Yep. All right, so what's on the agenda today, sweetie?
Oh, we've got a bunch of little tidbits
A little
here.
bit of everything, huh?
Yeah. First of all, want to thank Lucy. Thank you, sweetie, very much. She sent me the Bond volume, the 1980, the original hardback of... And you know what the 1980 Watchtower is?
Yes, I do. The
infamous
name
Jehovah.
And also she sent us a copy of the new brochure, Return to Jehovah.
Yes, thank you. There's some gems in here already. It's like, oh my goodness. It's just, I mean, even the introduction, it's like, oh my goodness. Why return to Jehovah? Wow.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
Nothing new there.
Of course not. So go ahead with your news.
All right, so we have something from abc.net.Australian News, an article by Candice Marcus. And speaking of Marcus, hello, Julian. How you doing, buddy? Okay, this is entitled Sale of 3 Jehovah's Witness Halls in South Australia. An expansion plan.
Now, there's been a lot of buzz in the XGW community about this, you know, how they're claiming it's an expansion plan. But this article is interesting.
Well, as I read this, I'm going to kind of give my own little interpretation. Now, I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing all of these names correctly, just simply because they're Australian in nature, and I'm not from Australia. So, Adelaide's Jehovah's Witnesses community says the sale of 3 places of worship is not in response to dwindling attendance, but is instead part of an expansion plan. Well, let me just reiterate a thought here. Doesn't this represent dwindling attendance? I mean, come on, guys. It's just that simple. But you have to remember that this reporter is talking to a representative from Watchtower. So, of course, he's going to mislead the reading audience. So I'm here to correct this misleading propaganda BS. Okay, it goes on to say, regional congregation halls in Lobethal, Woodside, and Craigmore have been listed for sale. So now there's 3 right there, okay? Lobethal, Woodside, and Craigmore have been listed for sale, while Kaduna and Cumming halls are closing down. So guess what?
How is that an expansion plan if they're actually closing down?
Well, here's the thing. We're not talking about 3 Kingdom halls now, are we? We're actually talking about 5. Nice. Slick little move there, JW representative. See, it's not just 3, it's 5. Okay? So a church spokesperson in Adelaide said the growth in members worldwide has created a need for bigger and better Kingdom halls. But I thought Armageddon was just right around the corner, so why are they going bigger and better?
Well, I was going to say...
I don't get that.
When you look at all these XGW community videos on YouTube who are walking into Kingdom halls, you know, like Tony and the guys' memorial video, Derek, you know, him and Leon have gone into Kingdom halls. They're half empty.
Yeah, I mean, really, by the time it's all said and done, Watchtower, we're going to need a bigger and better coffin lid. I mean, here's the absolute contradiction to this Watchtower spokesperson's propaganda.
Like Evie said, life size. Hi, sweetie.
Yes.
Thank you for the shout out.
Exactly. So, the sale of 3 halls, well, actually it's 5 because 2 are closing down, so you know they're going to sell those halls. So the sale of 3 halls here in this part of Australia is not about attendances at all. Quite to the contrary, Mr. Wakeling said. Yeah, Wakeling said. So that must be the Watchtower representative. Mr. Brother Wakeling.
Well, yeah, the church spokesperson in Adelaide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, now remember, it's not about dwindling attendance. Quite to the contrary. Yeah, notice he doesn't offer any evidence that Watchtower's growing. Because of this need around the world, screw the world, what about just Australia? You've got 5 Kingdom Halls in Australia that are downsizing. Forget the world. What about Australia? For the first time in the history of Jehovah's Witnesses, now here comes corporate legalese. I wonder what's happened to theocratic language right here. See? Are you not speaking the pure language anymore, Watchtower? This is all corporate jargon from here on out. Because of this need around the world, for the first time in the history of Jehovah's Witnesses, we've set up a central management committee and the appropriate infrastructure to plan and design and build kingdom halls where they are best utilized.
Doesn't the Catholic Church have an infrastructure?
Yeah, well here's the thing. If you've got 3 Chuck E. Cheese's in one town, and one of them is making $500,000 a year, and the other 2 are barely making $100,000 a year, doesn't it make sense to close the 2 and move your appropriate infrastructure to the one centrally located Chuck E. Cheese? It's like a central management committee? I mean, do you hear the corporate language being spoken here? There's no theocratic language here at all. He goes on, these 3 kingdom halls are part of the rationalizing of where we are best optimizing our facilities. I go right back to Chuck E. Cheese. You get rid of the 2 that ain't making money and give it all to the one that is. You get rid of the 4 or 5 kingdom halls that have low attendance and you build one bigger and better kingdom hall, and it makes it look like you've got growth. It's absolutely misleading propaganda. It's just propaganda techniques. Okay, Mr. Wakeling said the halls would be built with better facilities. Now wait a minute. Windows is one thing. Now let me understand better facilities. Now you've got a kingdom hall that's probably going to be used by one congregation for sure, possibly 2, maybe 3. Now you're talking maybe 100, 125 people per meeting. And you've only got 2 meetings a week. You know, even though they've combined the book study and the Thursday night theocratic ministry school and the service meeting, but it's still, the kingdom hall is only being used by one congregation 2 days a week. Now you got 120 something people. We'll just say 100 people, just to make the math simple.
Well, I was going to say now average kingdom hall is 80 to 100.
Yeah, exactly. But let's just make the simple math, okay?
100.
Now let's just say, okay, because you're talking about optimizing our facilities. Well, when I think of facilities, I think of flushing toilets. Okay? This is what I think of. So now you have 120 people that are going to be optimizing that. Now you have to keep in mind that at least 50 of those people went poop before they went to the meeting. Okay? You've got to figure that, okay? Now, how many of those kids that are left over that will probably haven't gone pee or poop at home, so they're going to go to the kingdom hall and they're going to dump their poop in a better optimized facility. I mean, come on, Watchtower. How much more of this are you going to try to sell before people realize what the hell you're talking about? So out of those that are going to hold it before going to the meeting, you know, heaven forbid if you want to fill up your own septic tank. Well, hell, I don't even know if Australia uses septic tanks or not. You know, they might even still use the old cesspool style. I don't know. But either way, the poop is going to go somewhere.
These are updated facilities, so they're going to have a city sewer.
A city, yeah. So why pay for the sewage waste yourself? Go to the Kingdom Hall and just flush it all on Watchtower's dollar bill. Come on. All right, so that's what I think about when I think about optimizing facilities. Heck, Jehovah's Witnesses, why don't you just wait and bring your toothbrush and toothpaste and you can brush your teeth before the meeting starts. Let them flush the water away. Okay, whew. All right. Mr. Wakeley said the halls would be built with better facilities. So instead of having 1 or 2 toilets, maybe they'll have 6 or 7 toilets. I don't know. When here again, better facilities. You're just sitting in a hall listening to Watchtower propaganda. Oh, the new system's around the corner. Just hold on, brothers. We're just about there.
Well, the thing is that when they want better facilities, they want them to look like commercial buildings now, like banks.
Oh, so now you're getting technical on me?
Yeah. So when they say better facility, Julian, this is my chair squeaking.
Yeah, that's not me, dude. Trust me.
Yeah. I realized after, we had talked on the phone that it's actually my chair that squeaks, so.
Yeah. So anyhow, yes, no, all joking aside, what's really happening here, in our opinions, that what Watchtower is saying when they're talking about optimizing our facilities, what they're saying is that 10 or 15 years from now, as the number of Jehovah's Witnesses continue to dwindle away, they've got buildings that are more valuable in the eye of the public because they've got windows in them now.
Because they're having a hard time selling the Kingdom halls now because there's no windows. What store or bank or anything is going to want to buy, these, maybe an adult theater, store, but...
But it just makes sense because whoever buys an abandoned Kingdom Hall right now, not only do they have to spend the money to buy a windowless building, now they've got to reinvest in the windows and everything else, which can be quite costly. So we're not doing this because of dwindling numbers. We're doing this to better optimize our facilities. Okay, going on. I don't have too much more here, people. He said the congregations
Good,
from the
because you're going to
Adelaide,
give yourself a heart attack.
Yes. He said the congregations from the Adelaide Hills Halls would be combined at a new facility at Mount Baker. Well, here's the thing, Jehovah's Witnesses. If they're doing away with 5 structural buildings to build one bigger and better facility, then does that not indicate that of the 5 buildings they're, throwing away, that you can't even fill those seats? I mean, start thinking about what's happening with your dollars.
Well, look at Honolulu. They sold that complex that had 4 Kingdom halls in it and no plans to rebuild that one. And now the friends and the congregations are having to drive out to other congregations. So it sounds like that's the same thing, that's going to be going on.
Yeah. So this is the last paragraph, quoting Mr. Wakeling. Here again, here comes corporate structure, corporate words. It's all corporate. There's no theocratic language at all. The congregations of Crafers and Loberthal will retain their identity. So that's 2 congregations. So they're going from five possible congregations down to 2 because they're only naming 2. They will retain their identity and they will still do their work in their assigned areas. But they will simply now meet in a newer facility. And they will share the management of the facility and the maintenance of the facility. And that's an important way to optimize how we go about our work.
Because if the congregations are sharing expenses, then guess what? That's more money the congregation has to send to Watchtower.
Exactly. But do you understand, Jehovah's Witnesses, that when you hear these quoted words from those that are representing Watchtower in official capacity, they're not speaking theocratic language. They're speaking words that are indicative of a business culture, a business-related society. It has nothing to do with theocratic language. I mean, my goodness, start paying attention to how words are used, even from the platform, because when you do, you can really begin to hear the corporate legalese that is enticed or that is enticing you. It's not theocratic language. It's corporate language.
Yeah. Now, speaking of kingdom halls and how they're optimizing, and utilizing to the best of their ability, we have an elder's letter here, and it's interesting because it's about the Kingdom Hall Utility Supply Letter of Authority. Now, remember, we read an elder's letter several months back to where they were going to be setting up a kind of like account to where they would have one electricity,
Right.
one gas and power supply,
Right.
and they basically be under contract. Well, this is the update to that. And it's interesting because with this comes a letter of authority. Now, this letter of authority, I'm going to read this top paragraph. We confirm that we give authorization to Watchtower Bible Tract Society of Britain to act on our behalf in respect of our gas and electricity supply contracts. We hereby request our current supplier to release information relating to such supply contracts upon request, including for the purposes of the Data Protection Act 1998, any relevant information. This will remain in force unless revoked in writing. And then you have to date and sign it, the congregation's name, the address, supplier, account number. And here's the letter that goes with this. I'm not going to read this whole thing. I'm just going to, do some of these.
Well, isn't it funny how people in this world are so willing to surrender their own authority?
Yeah.
It's just really amazing how easily it is to manipulate the human mind, just to surrender your own God-given authority.
Well, I can see now why several elders now are waking up and saying, wait a minute, you know. So it starts out, we will write further to the letter dated May 12, 2015 regarding adjustments to the supplier arrangement for Kingdom Hall utilities. Starting from September 1st, 2015, all total gas and power contract renewals for each Kingdom Hall will be handled by the branch. Okay?
Yeah.
Then I'm going to skip down. It says, in order for the branch office to handle contract renewals in behalf of the congregations, a letter of authority, the one I just mentioned, is required from each congregation responsible for utility payments. If a number of congregations share a Kingdom Hall, this will usually be the title-holding congregation. Please complete the attached letter of authority. This should be signed by the Kingdom Hall Operating Committee Chairman or the coordinator of the body of elders and returned via email. And then they have the email that you return this to. As part of the arrangement with congregations contracted to TGP, electric meters will be upgraded to automatic meter reader. Now, if I understand this correctly, this is the same system we have in the United States, to where they don't even send a meter reader out anymore. It's all computer. They can just sit in their office, go on their computer, and see how much power you have used.
Exactly.
Yeah, so unbelievable.
So it's just interesting again how easy it is to get Jehovah's Witnesses or the congregations to surrender their own authority. Right over to Watchtower. Don't even think twice.
This one is 3 pages long, so I am not going to read this. But this is new guidelines for congregation meeting conferencing systems. And I'm just going to highlight just a couple of things.
Dear brothers.
Yeah, to assist elders in managing the use of conferencing systems and recordings. Now, this is talking about those that have like the instant streaming in, the phone tie-in, all of this. This is all included. But it's interesting down here. It says, congregation meetings should not be made available to a wide audience on the internet. Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Neither should recordings of congregation meetings be distributed indiscriminately. However, it is not necessary to monitor who has access to congregation meetings.
Oh, do you think they're trying to shut us down?
Well, they sure as heck revoked my PIN number to get the phone tie-in.
Well, hell yeah, they did.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway.
Anyhow, that's the way it is. Now, we have a couple other things, don't we? Don't we want to do something with the list of resources?
Yes, I'll get to that here in just a minute. At the beginning, I forgot to do a shout-out to Thomas. Dear brother, sorry for the loss of your mother. And, yeah, Sorry about that.
Yep.
You know, it's always hard to lose a parent. Now, I wanted to get back to this, and Mike's got his own thing to do with this brochure, but we wanted to share some gems with all of you that we have found in here. Right in the beginning, dear fellow believer. Now that right there tells you, okay, this is not ones who have gone apostate, who are trying to fade away because they've woken up. This is fellow believer. So this tells me that this is ones who are just, becoming a little inactive, trying to get them back. The third paragraph down. Now this is for all of you who are trying to fade, and the brothers, you haven't heard word one from the brothers and sisters in the congregation or the elders. You know, we've had so many emails asking us, is this norm? Is this normal for not to hear from anybody in the congregation when you just fade away? And it's like, we are hearing that so much. And from the amount of people who have been asking that, I would say, this is the new norm. This is the new norm. So this third paragraph, this is for you. Jehovah never forgets his worshipers who stray from the fold. On the contrary, he reaches out to them, often doing so through their fellow believers. Consider, for example, how Jehovah helped his servant Job, who experienced a number of calamities, including financial setbacks, the loss of loved ones, and severe health problems. Job had endured hurtful words from those who should have been there to support him, but he never turned his back on Jehovah. Although he did go astray in his thinking for a time, how did Jehovah assist Job to regain his balance? Oh my goodness, get your boots, it's just getting deeper and deeper. Please know that it is in a similar spirit that we have prepared this brochure. First, we listen carefully, considering the circumstances and expressions of a number who drifted away. Did they come talk to all of you who have drifted away? No.
Nope.
That's why I don't believe this for a minute. Then we turn to the scriptures, prayerfully examining accounts of how Jehovah helped his servants in the past when they faced similar circumstances. It's funny because we've gotten so many emails from ones who are just waking up, and they say, I prayed to God and asked for Holy Spirit, and then I, come across something that causes doubts, and I see a YouTube video, and it's like, oh my God, the apostates,
this answers the doubts.
The apostates are right, this is answering my questions. So prayerfully considering, the ones who really prayerfully considering, guess what's happening? They're waking up.
Yeah, they're waking up.
And they're finding the real Christ.
Yeah. Okay, did you want me to do my thing with that now,
you
or
want
do you want to do
thing.
it last?
You might as well do it now.
All right, anticipation's over. All right.
Subliminal image time.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna flash the picture again of the mummy's face.
Okay.
Because I want to show you where I found it. Okay, so flash. There it is. All right, now you're back to me. When I was doing my research and studying into subliminal images, I want to thank George Miller for these two books, because there's just a wealth of information on how back in the day subliminal imaging was being used by the media. And one thing that I learned quite readily was these advertising companies. Now keep in mind, friends, that Watchtower doesn't pay advertisers, or advertisers don't pay them to put advertisements in the Watchtower and Awake. But Watchtower used the same mind manipulative techniques that they used back in the day when you used to be able to see cigarette commercials on TV, or seen cigarette commercials like in certain magazines and things. And one thing that they always used was a picture of life and death. They would show this beautiful sunrise and, a couple, a man and wife together, just enjoying life. And, you got the pretty flowers and, the trees in full, bloom and leafed out. And they just create this beautiful picture of life. But yet the death is represented by the smoking the cigarettes. So that type of technique worked for quite a number of years because what that advertisement was showing was life and death. The choice is yours. And Watchtower has done the same thing, and that's the reason why I blacked out the mummy's face and why we showed the Abbott and Costello clip in the beginning so that you could see what a mummy's face would look like. Now, where I found that, here again, Return to Jehovah, and what Watchtower is doing is they're using the same technique of life and death. The choice is really yours. Here's the picture. The lamb represents life, doesn't it? And then if you look right here in the folds of his towel, his serape, turban, whatever you want to call it, is where the mummy's mask was found. Again, all you got to do is just rewind the video, go back to the still picture, put that up against the mummy in the beginning, and you'll see there's a striking similarity. But according to Professor Key, this technique was used to distinguish between life and death. Now, why would Watchtower do that? Well, just simply because if you don't return to Jehovah, what's the alternative? Death. It's not life, it's death. So Watchtower is still very much using that technique. If you don't return to Jehovah, you're still going to die at Armageddon. So there's a subliminal image right there.
Yeah. So let's just do a couple of quick things here. Aid book. And I apologize, I did not write down who sent me this information, so I want to thank the person that sent this to me. It is in the aid book on page 1134. And it's interesting because...
Now, isn't this still along the theme of mummies?
And death.
Yeah, see, tombs opened at Jesus' death.
So
we're still talking about mummies.
Yeah. And the subheading is Tombs Opened at Jesus' Death. The text at Matthew 27:52-53 concerning the memorial tombs that were opened as the result of an earthquake occurring at the time of Jesus' death has caused considerable discussion, some holding that a resurrection occurred. However, a comparison with the text concerning the resurrection makes clear that these verses do not describe a resurrection, but merely a throwing of bodies out of their tombs. What?
Well, why would Watchtower even go there?
Yeah. Similar to incidents that have taken place in recent times, as in Ecuador in 1949 and again in Bogota, Colombia in 1962, when 200 corpses in the cemetery were thrown out of their tombs by a violent earth tremor. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The translation by Johannes Grieber, 1937, of these verses reads as follows. Tombs were laid open, and many bodies of those buried were tossed upright. In this posture they projected from the graves and were seen by many who passed by the place on their way back to the city. So another reason they had to get rid of this aid book was because they quote Johannes Grieber.
A known occultist. Yeah, a known occultist.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, John M. sent me this quote from the infamous Paradise Lost book. This is interesting. On page 193, paragraph 34. True to Jesus' words, Christ has appointed the last ones of God's spiritual nation over all his belongings. Who then is this faithful and discreet slave? Yeah, we're going there. The slave is not a man.
Or 7 men.
Okay? I kid you not. That's what it says.
The slave is not a man.
The slave is not a man.
This is priceless right here.
Neither is it the Watchtower Society.
but if you don't return to Jehovah, a.k.a. the Watchtower Society, there's your death mask.
Yeah. It is the united body of the regathered last ones of God's spiritual nation. That a body congregation or nation of people can be spoken of as God's servant is shown by him at Isaiah 43:10, where he says, "You are my witnesses," is the utterance of Jehovah. So since 1919, the remnant of spiritual Israelites is unitedly God's servant or slave.
Okay, but I find this interesting up here. It says that a body, congregation, or nation of people, wouldn't that nation of people include all of Jehovah's Witnesses and not just 144,000 now, which is shrunk down to the governing body?
Well, good point, because here there's Isaiah 43:10, and this is the same scripture witnesses use today. You are my witnesses, is the utterance of Jehovah. So it makes it sound like it's all of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. So why has Watchtower changed terminology? Why? So that they can better control what's going on within the walls of Watchtower.
Yeah. And what's interesting, because in the next paragraph it says, Christ has greatly blessed the work of these spiritual Israelites. As a result, hundreds of thousands of people have joined themselves with the last ones of God's spiritual nation. So they're back to the two classes.
Yeah.
Talk about, confusionists. At an international convention in New York City in 1953, more than 165,000 people heard the president of the Watchtower Society speak on After Armageddon, God's New World.
You mean Armageddon that was supposed to come in 1975 and it never happened? Hey, Jehovah's Witnesses, how do you like God's New World right now?
Yeah. So hundreds of thousands of people have joined themselves with the last ones of God's spiritual nation. Since those who get life in heaven with Christ are limited to just 144,000, what is the hope of these hundreds of thousands of persons who are not spiritual Israelites?
So then what they do is they just separated themselves from the rest of the brotherhood. That's what a corporation does. You have your people at the top of the corporate ladder, and then you have your slaves at the bottom of the corporate ladder. And that's exactly how Watchtower has operated from day one. Corporate structure, not theocratic arrangement.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, really unbelievable.
Okay, so we've also had some messages and emails of people asking about archives. And some have said that there's no archives, that, the websites are disappearing and stuff.
Not true.
No.
Not true.
Is there archives available? Oh, yeah.
The
Beast.
The Beast. Yes.
And several people have the information that is in this. And they do have websites. And so you can get Watchtower archives. And so I'm just going to mention a few here. www.a2, the number 2, z.org/Watchtower archives. WatchtowerWayback.org. WatchtowerDocuments.org, and then click on Documents. OpenLibrary.org. And all you have to do is just, Google Watchtower Literature Archives. And if there's something that you still cannot find, I have the Beast, and I am putting everything on my Dropbox. Thanks to some very generous people, I have paid for the Dropbox for an entire year, and so I've got the links, and since I've upgraded that and for an entire year, it shouldn't be clogging up near as bad. So just go to watchtower.expose and click on contact and just ask for the links, or Facebook. I've got pretty much everything that was ever printed, and an archive of elders' letters of over 12,000 documents.
Yeah. And we've also renewed the website, watchtower.expose, for another 3 years.
For 3 years.
So we ain't going away anytime soon, Watchtower.
And, thank you so much to all of you, who have been so generous in trying to help us, because several knew that our renewal was coming up on our website and that there was some other things that we needed. So, thank you so much, for your generous help on doing that. And, same thing, with the books. That helps with the archives, too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But Atlantis may be gone, but his legacy is still here. And
what a privilege and honor to give it to us.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just a couple of knuckleheads on YouTube, and then we end up with this.
And he has shared this information with several, but he spent 25 years scanning Watchtower literature. And so it's all available.
Yep.
And, like I said, if you go to these sites or do a Google and you still can't find it,
contact us.
There's even a Catholic forum. I forget the name of it off the top of my head that I just happened to remember.
Yeah, that's right.
That they also have Watchtower, all the old literature and stuff. So you just have to do a Google search. And like I said, if there's still something you cannot find, just contact me.
I find it funny and ironic all them years that Rutherford and Jehovah's Witnesses were trying to destroy the Catholic doctrine, destroy the Catholic faith. Catholic Church is just sitting back saying, oh, just let these little pissants go. They're not going to bother us. They'll have their comeuppance in the future. While that was happening, the Catholic Church was saving all of Watchtower's propaganda and archiving it and making it available. Wow, Watchtower, payback's really a nasty woman, isn't it?
But also, if you go to the International Bible Students Association website, they've got all of Russell's original stuff, too. Yeah,
so to sit here and say that there's nothing available, there's very little available, or they're all being taken down, it's just Watchtower propaganda. That's all that is. Yeah. That's all that becomes, is more Watchtower propaganda.
Yes.
The information's out there, and this is the internet age. It ain't going away, people. Trust me, it's not going away.
Yeah, and several have been, doing research in the yearbooks where there's some gems.
Oh, yeah,
and Jerry
absolutely.
Jones, if you get a chance, go watch Jerry Jones' latest videos. He has been doing a lot in the yearbooks to where there is some gems in there, let me tell you.
Yep.
But we have the link in our Dropbox to every single yearbook ever printed, clear back to 1927. And like I said, Jerry Jones has been making good use of that and doing some great videos. And it's interesting because for the past 2 weeks, I have had so many asking for the link to the old blue aid book.
Yeah.
I mean, that has been like the top request for the last 2 weeks. So if you want that, just let me know. In fact, maybe I'll just put the link to that right down below this video. So just go down below in the description and I'll have the link there to that aid book. So,
all right.
I think, did we get everything?
I think we covered everything that we wanted to cover in this particular video. We have another one we're going to work on either later today or Sunday. We have another morning worship coming up. My goodness, when I listened to this the other morning, it's like, how could, well, here again, these guys are writing this stuff and they have zero comprehension of what they're saying. I mean, this is so ridiculous. They might as well try to sell the Brooklyn Bridge themselves.
Yep. So, he watched a little bit of this, or did you watch all of it?
I thought I watched the whole thing before I went to work. So,
as he's walking out the door to go get in his truck, I hear him still ranting and raving to himself.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I mean, it was just...
I wish I would have had that on video.
Unbelievable how this morning worship went and how any thinking or even non-thinking Jehovah's Witness can sit there and listen to this and not connect the dots. So we're going to help you, Jehovah's Witnesses. We're going to help you connect the dots and see what you're really involved in. So stay tuned for that. I don't know, maybe we'll dress in the same flowery shirts and make it part 2 or something.
And I just realized this is July 3rd. Time for July broadcast.
Oh! Man, we haven't even finished going through the district convention yet.
Oh, we're still going through June's broadcast, still going through the district convention. Oh my goodness, we just can't keep up. So we thank all of you for sending us links, and letting us know timestamps, because that really helps save me time,
Yeah.
go to Friday afternoon at, 50 minutes and hear what they're saying. That helps a lot.
Again, Kim and I want to give our thanks and our gratitude to everybody that's doing the research and the work. There's just so many that are leaving comments on our YouTube channel, Lightfly. Lightfly.
Well,
32.
just too many to mention.
It's just,
yeah.
it's just, again, I can't state this enough that if it wasn't for the support team behind Kim and I, there would be no Kim Mikey YouTube channel. So all of our thanks truly goes to you. To those that are following us on Facebook, those that are leaving comments and links. You just don't, well, maybe you do. You do realize how important what you're doing, how important it is to waking up people out of the cult, because you're finding things that Kim and I just, let's just face it, we can't sit and read every word that's in these books because it would just take too much time.
Or watch every single, minute of the broadcast and videos.
So again, thank you folks so much from the bottom of our hearts for the support, because it really shows Watchtower that you're not just following one person. You're actually giving your support to many people. And Kim
You're doing
and I,
your own research.
Yeah, Kim and I are just the faces in front of the camera. That's all we are. And thank you so much again for your support, your comments of encouragement, your stories of leaving Watchtower. It helps tremendously in breaking this mind control.
Yeah, it really does. So you guys all have a happy and safe 4th of July.
Yeah. Freedom!
And the kids are coming out for the weekend, so we're not sure, how much we're going to get done this weekend. So, love you all.
Bye.